Didn't ask for a pardon. It was preemptive just in case Trump's Justice Department goes after you and other members of the January 6th committee. What was your reaction when you saw Trump's post last night declaring your preemptive pardon void and vacant?
Well, first off, I'm trying to figure out what he's trying to distract from, because that's what all this is, always a distraction to try to get people's attention, or maybe he hasn't felt like he's got enough attention. But look, Jake, it's like, bring it.
A man who built his entire brand on toughness now spends more time playing the victim than leading the country. The self-proclaimed dealmaker looks less like a political titan and more like a stage performer desperate for applause. Every rally, every rant, every recycled slogan exposes the same truth. Power means nothing without substance. And when the curtain gets pulled back, the legend of Donald Trump shrinks into exactly what it always was, a performance begging for validation.
Despite Trump's personal attacks against you and promises of retribution, not to mention many death threats that you have received since you have been speaking out, you say that you have zero fear of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Why?
Look,
how, I should say.
I've been to war, okay? Donald Trump, I'm not trying to just be partisan shots here. He is a small, weak man who is scared to death of people. He's scared to death.
Adam Kinzinger destroying Donald Trump is the kind of roast nobody saw coming, but everybody secretly expected. Because if there's one man who turned Trump into his personal punching bag after fleeing Congress, it's the Illinois Republican who decided his legacy wasn't passing bills, fixing roads, or helping farmers, but turning into a full-time professional Trump basher. And the wild part, he treats it like it's an act of heroism. Like every time he goes after Trump, democracy adds 3 years to its life expectancy.
Very clear what happened on January 6th. America made a decision. There is one person that's obsessed about the 6th because he still has been basically deemed guilty in the court of public opinion, and that's Donald Trump, and he can't handle it. He obsesses about it. So my reaction to him is like, you know what? Then bring it. Like, stop talking about it. Stop being all verbose. Stop pretending like you're tough. Bring the charges then if you really want to do it, because we will crush you in court and it'll make...
If you're enjoying this video, please make sure to subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon. Kinzinger goes in hard because he's not tied down anymore. No seat to lose, no constituents to answer to, no campaign to manage, just free shots from the cheap seats, hurling jabs at the President of the United States like a man who traded in Capitol Hill for a cable news studio. He calls out Trump's ego as if he's unveiling some ancient conspiracy when the entire country already knows Trump's ego could have its own zip code. But Kinzinger makes it entertaining, framing Trump like the political world's final boss, except he's not fighting with policy or ideas. He's swinging with mockery, sarcasm, and the kind of disgust that comes from watching a man rewrite the rules and get away with it.
Adam, thanks so much for joining us. It's great to see you, and we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, good to be with you. Yeah, we really do. It's been crazy.
Now that Donald Trump has been in office for 100 days, how would you describe the first few months of the Trump administration?
Well, okay, so I'll give you two different things. My opinion versus just like objectively, how is he done? My opinion, this is way worse than anything I imagined.
The roast hits hardest when Kinzinger zeroes in on Trump's endless obsession with being the biggest, the best, the greatest. Kinzinger paints the picture of a man so desperate for validation that he measures life not by accomplishments, but by crowd sizes. It's not about policy or principle. It's about whether more people showed up to his rally than his opponents. Kinzinger skewers Trump as a man who treats politics like a Yelp review, constantly checking the ratings, terrified of dipping below 5 stars.
So for me, I refuse to be intimidated. I didn't break the law. All I did was get answers for the American people. If you want to come after me, you have to make something up. And by the way, if you make something up, I'm going to use that and become twice the pain in your backside that I ever have been if you're going to come after me for no reason. And the American people won't stand for it. They may have elected Donald Trump, but they still want the law and the justice system to...
And the crowd-sized jokes practically write themselves. Kinzinger hammers home the absurdity of a sitting president bragging about rally attendance like it's the Super Bowl. As if the number of folding chairs filled somehow erases inflation or immigration problems. Trump doesn't measure progress by legislation. He measures it by how many people scream his name in an airport hangar. That's the roast. Trump is running the country like a rock star chasing ticket sales. And Kinzinger tears it apart with sarcasm sharp enough to leave marks.
I was trying to warn the Democrats basically between Trump's victory and Inauguration Day. Like, you guys need to get your ducks in a row because this thing could go fast, right? One of my biggest frustrations, and I think this is why, frankly, so many Democrats are upset, is because, Donald Trump gets inaugurated. Doge, this fake agency Doge, gets created out of thin air. And then for about 2 weeks, Congress is out of session and Democrats went home. And so, all this that was going on was happening with no opposition in place. And I think that created a lot of fury. And for me, it bothered me because I'm like, look, guys, we were warning you this was going to happen. It is.
And the crowd-sized jokes practically write themselves. Kinzinger hammers home the absurdity of a sitting president bragging about rally attendance like it's the Super Bowl. As if the number of folding chairs filled somehow erases inflation or immigration problems. Trump doesn't measure progress by legislation. He measures it by how many people scream his name in an airport hangar. That's the roast. Trump is running the country like a rock star chasing ticket sales. And Kinzinger tears it apart with sarcasm sharp enough to leave marks.
Bernie Sanders says that he thinks Biden should offer preemptive pardons to a host of different people, including the people in the January 6th committee. I know that you said on CNN that Anderson Cooper asked you, point blank, would you take a pardon if offered to you? And your answer was?
No.
Why?
No. Because I didn't do anything wrong. I mean, look, if Donald Trump wants to come after me, look, do I want him to come after me? Of course not. But if he decides to, I'll be twice as much of a pain in his backside because I will, from my cell in jail, continue to remind the American people that this is not the country we live in. This was not the country that the Constitution represents. And
Then comes the endless victimhood. Kinzinger dismantles Trump's entire persona as the tough guy who somehow also spends every waking moment crying about how unfair life is. Every investigation, every news story, every late-night jab. Trump plays it like the world is out to get him. Kinzinger flips it, mocking him as the self-proclaimed alpha male who actually sounds like a guy yelling at customer service because his coupon expired. The big strong leader reduced to constant whining, painting himself as the most persecuted man alive. According to Trump, no one has ever suffered more than him. Not soldiers, not firefighters, not anyone. It's always him. And Kinzinger turns that into comedy gold. He doesn't stop there. Kinzinger goes after Trump's business image, too, ripping apart the myth of the self-made billionaire. He lays it bare. The man who branded himself as the ultimate deal-maker has a track record of bankrupt casinos, failed universities, and products so absurd they sound like late-night infomercials, steaks, vodka, board games. Trump's business empire looks less like brilliance and more like the clearance aisle at a failing department store.
The Republican Party is no longer conservative. It has switched its allegiance from the principles that gave it purpose to a man whose only purpose is himself. Donald Trump is a weak man pretending to be strong.
Kinzinger leans into that image, roasting Trump as the man who could slap his name on a shoehorn and call it a revolution in footwear. And then there's the loyalty test. Kinzinger torches the way Trump demands total devotion from everyone around him. Like a king expecting subjects to kneel. Cabinet members, senators, governors, anyone who questions him for a second is exiled, shamed, mocked, and replaced. Kinzinger skewers Trump for turning the Republican Party into his personal fan club, where the only requirement for membership is unshakable worship. He compares it to reality TV, where alliances change overnight and the only prize is not being tweeted into oblivion by the boss. But the funniest part is when Kinzinger frames Trump as the eternal candidate, the man who never stops campaigning because governing is too much work. Rallies, speeches, slogans. Trump treats the presidency like a 4-year audition for the same job he already has. It's perpetual theater, the never-ending season of the Trump show, complete with cliffhanger, villains, and plot twists.
Congressman, I wanted to ask you something Trump had said about the start of the war, but he actually just was on a radio show a moment ago, the president was, and he was talking about the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and he said something that I have to play for you. You've got to hear this.
He's a war hero. because we work together. He's a war hero. I guess I am too. Nobody cares, but I am too. I mean, I sent those planes.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is just nuts. This is nuts, and they're going to find, his people are going to find a way to justify this. Listen, when they were putting out something honoring the Army's 250th anniversary, they put out a picture of Donald Trump in his military academy uniform, which has nothing to do with the military except they drill you.
And Kinzinger roasts him for it, mocking the fact that while Trump is busy staging episodes for his fans, actual policy is left sitting in the waiting room like an unpaid intern. Kinzinger doesn't just attack the politics, he goes after the personality cult. He describes Trump supporters as die-hard fans who treat him like a cross between a prophet and a reality star. They buy the merch, chant the slogans, and defend him online like unpaid interns running a 24/7 fan club. Kinzinger laughs at the absurdity of a political movement that feels less like a party and more like a celebrity fan convention, complete with hats, signs, and group selfies. Trump isn't just leading a movement. He's running the world's strangest brand loyalty program. And Kinzinger makes sure to highlight the irony of Trump's whole shtick. The man who claims to be tough, ruthless, and unstoppable is also the same man who can't stop doom scrolling to see what people are saying about him. For someone who doesn't care about critics, Trump sure spends a lot of time rage posting about them. Kinzinger skewers the contradiction. The strong man who wilts at a late-night joke. The lion who cries over tweets. The commander-in-chief who acts like a teenager grounded from his phone.
So Donald Trump just asked the president of Liberia where he learned his English. Because he speaks it so beautifully. Where'd you learn your English? Well, he learned it when he was born because Liberia speaks English. Oh, the President of the United States, ladies and gentlemen. Good Lord.
When Kinzinger brings up Trump's obsession with relitigating old battles, every speech circles back to 2020 as if the world stopped moving the day he lost an election. He rants about fraud, conspiracies, and stolen victories, turning his stump speeches into history lessons nobody asked for. Kinzinger hammers him as a man living in the past, stuck in an endless loop, fighting ghosts while the rest of the world moves on. It's the ultimate irony. The candidate of the future can't stop obsessing over the past. Kinzinger also tears into Trump's image as the outsider, the rebel who takes on the establishment. The reality, he's been at the center of the establishment for decades. The wealth, the connections, the celebrity status. Trump is the establishment wrapped in gold trim. Kinzinger mocks the absurdity of a man with skyscrapers named after him pretending to be the everyman's champion. It's like a billionaire cosplaying as a blue-collar worker, complete with staged photo ops of him eating fast food, as if that's proof he's just like everybody else.
Okay, so on this DC thing going on, this so-called federal takeover, I want to separate fact from fiction, truth from hysteria a little bit. Much of the hysteria is intended to be created, or has been created, by Donald Trump. He wants you to get hysterical. So he's making it sound like there's this federal government invasion and takeover of Washington, D.C. because it makes him look tough. You know, he wants everybody to be scared of him. Here's the truth.
When Kinzinger gets to the scandals, the roast practically explodes. The hush money cases, the endless lawsuits, the indictments. Trump collects legal battles like trading cards, bragging about them as proof of persecution. Kinzinger flips it, mocking him as the first politician to treat indictments like campaign merchandise, turning court dates into rally material. It's not shame, it's branding. And somehow, the more charges pile up, the more his fans cheer, like it's a scoreboard instead of a rap sheet. Kinzinger laughs at the absurdity of a political career powered by legal drama. A man running for office while running from subpoenas. But the biggest blow comes when Kinzinger calls out Trump's legacy. For all the noise, all the rallies, all the headlines, what did it actually deliver? Division, chaos, bitterness, a nation more polarized than ever. Families split, friendships broken, politics turned into blood sport. Kinzinger rips into the fact that Trump's greatest accomplishment wasn't policy. It was making half the country scream at the other half non-stop. That's not leadership. That's chaos dressed as charisma.
His rapid advancement in terms of kind of illiberalism, authoritarianism, has been beyond what I even expected. Objectively, so taking my opinion out and saying how is he done tactically, well, if your goal is illiberalism, if your goal is, authoritarianism, he's done a great job getting there, right? That's that. If your goal is a strong America with strong alliances that's respected in the world, he gets a terrible job. If your interest is the economy, the U.S. economy, he's done a terrible job. So I'll just say this, it is really bad for the United States of America right now. I think we can get out of this, but I think without sugarcoating.
By the end, the roast is brutal, relentless, and hilarious. Trump isn't portrayed as the untouchable giant he wants to be. He's painted as a fragile showman, desperate for applause, constantly feeding his ego with rallies, tweets, and headlines. Kinzinger destroys the myth, reducing Trump from political titan to needy performer, from strongman to stage actor, from legend to punchline. And that's the beauty of the roast. Adam Kinzinger doesn't just go after Trump's politics. He goes after the man behind the curtain, the desperate need for validation, the endless hunger for attention, the inability to let go of the past. He exposes Trump as a man who wants to be remembered as history's greatest leader, but risks being remembered as its greatest entertainer instead. That's how Adam Kinzinger destroys Donald Trump, not with laws, not with power, but with ridicule so sharp it leaves a mark. Because nothing cuts deeper for a man obsessed with his own image than being reduced to a joke. And yet, the most comical part of Trump's saga, the part that Kinzinger hammers hardest, is how predictable the script has become. Every scandal is recycled into a martyrdom speech. Every setback is rebranded as proof of his strength. If a jury convicts him, it's proof of corruption. If the media mocks him, it's proof of bias. If his own allies abandon him, it's proof of betrayal.